No matter what you feel, whether it's fear or anger or grief or sadness, when you write, you transmute that into something beautiful, into
True.
something that is meaningful and something that you can share to some other people and the other people can relate. And then it will also help in their healing, aside from you healing also. So this is my first poem here, The Jar of Joy.
Wow.
So it says,
Name itself is so exciting.
it says, I will fill my jar of joy with fresh air from the mountains, with songs of waves and white sands, with the laughter of my children and every ray of sunshine.
Welcome, everybody, to BWB podcast with myself, Dr. Siddharth Sen, a poet and author, a traveler, certified life coach, founder of Wise Owl House and Rich Mom Academy. I am one of the jury members of Brunch with Books, and today I am very excited to connect with a multi talented personality. I am excited to introduce somebody who is not only author but multi-talented. Like she is a physician, she is from medicine, she has been part of education and leadership, a distinguished physician and academic, Dr. Rhodesia. She has helped put a College of Medicine as a founding college secretary and led management of COVID-19 in a large company during the pandemic. In literature, she was Philippines' youngest author in 1989. And in 2026, she is a recipient of the Dickens Literary Excellence Medal, a poet of the year for 3 consecutive years. Among her works are the 100 poems series Soulful, Heartful, and Mindful. Among the approximately 100 books, anthologies, songs, and translations under her name in the Ukyoto Publishing Company. But perhaps what makes her journey truly exceptional is the range of her creative spirit. An accomplished author whose literary journey began at a remarkably young age, her work has traveled across languages, cultures, and genres. She is also a songwriter, a painter, an educator, and a lifelong learner. From medicine to literature, from science to imagination, Dr. Rhodesia represents a rare meeting of intellect, compassion, creativity, and courage. And today, as we honor her for Diaspora, the extraordinary submission in the BWB Golden Quill Global Awards 2026, we celebrate not just a science fiction story that captivated our jury, but a remarkable woman who has spent her life exploring, healing, teaching, creating, and inspiring. I am so privileged. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an amazing session which is going to happen today, and watch till the end because it is going to inspire you a lot. Welcome the recipient of Creative Excellence Award at BWB Golden Quill Global Awards 2026, Dr. Rhodesia. First of all, I would like to ask her, how are you feeling today? Dr. Rhodesia, over to you.
Good evening, Dr. Sid. That's a very generous introduction. Thank you very much for that. And I am very honored and I'm so happy to be here to be part of this podcast and for us to share these few minutes and also to share with the audience some of my heart and my soul also part of me. And I'm very honored and humbled that you invited me here in this podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rhodesia. It's really humbling for me too to be part of a session where I'm hosting you. My first question for you is, how did your writing journey start? Where is that inspiration coming from?
Oh, well, I started writing when I remember I was 3 years old. The first poem that I wrote was for my mom. And
Wow.
it says in the Filipino, mahal kita nanay, wag mo ko iiwan. Hindi kita iiwan, mahal kita nanay. It just says, I love you mom, don't leave me, I will never leave you. I love you mom. It's just
Wow.
simple as that. But
That's
I recited it to her. That was the first poem I did. And my mother supported my writing very much. This is actually my inspiration in my writing. And then I consider writing and poetry, it's like my childhood friend. The paper, it's like something that I talk to, I write to whatever I'm feeling because I'm quiet and introvert. And so the paper is something, it's like a friend that I talk to. I write. I write poetry at that because poetry, it has cadence, it has silence. And then you are obliged to discipline your words in very few concise phrases that will convey meaning. So that's why I love poetry very much. And then I've been writing poetry since childhood. And then one time, our principal, it was during elementary, I was 8 years old then. She saw the compilation, and then she said, "Let's publish this into an anthology." And so at that time, those were the times when there were no computers, and then we just write longhand. And then, well, it was published, and then at that time, it was I was called then as a Philippines' youngest book author. At that time, for of course, for now, many younger younger batches, younger people have already written their work. But at the time, it was my title. And then, well, writing took a backseat because I was honed into I was honed into the sciences. I got into a science high school, and then went straight into medicine. And well, the medical degree is very taxing. The writing took its backseat. After and then yeah, the medicine, working in the emergency room, it was good experience, actually saving lives, and then meeting all these people. It's like I'm gaining experience, enriching my heart, so that the time when I am able to write again, I can put some substance into it. And then, and then 12 years in the emergency room, I was called into the College of Medicine to put up a College of Medicine back then. So we wrote the instructional materials. I mean, the curriculum, we laid down the foundation of the college, basically. So when it was laid down, that was good. They just had to run it. After that, the pandemic happened. So that was the time when, is it okay? I'm telling this story. It's not part of literature, but yes. So the pandemic at that time, the world was still groping. I had to study really. I had to read the journals. I had to read the newest studies, what they know about COVID, what is this that we're battling. And then luckily for us in the company, we did a contact tracing, we did testing of individuals, and then we isolated those who were sick. We managed no mortality. Actually, to those who have managed, even the moderate risk COVID, those the elderly. I had patients between 60 to 70 years old. I remember she's the one who actually she got well after that moderate risk COVID, and then I went I did rounds. I touched them. I wasn't scared. They coughed to me. Those were the times when people were so scared at COVID. And then they coughed at me, I mean, sorry. And then all we had was an oxygen. And then I was touched because she told me that, Doctora, ever since I was a child, I am never visited by a doctor. And now she felt like she was dying already. And she was so happy that I am visiting her when even her closest skins don't want to touch her because she had COVID and I was there beside her. And then apparently she got well, and then she was the one who actually made my dress when I graduated in the Masters in Hospital
Wow.
Administration.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Well, after the COVID, I retired from medicine. I stopped. So I focus. I have kids. I have a daughter who is now in college, and then my youngest is in elementary. It seems like I have robbed from them years that I should be supervising them. I focus on my children. And then that's the time when I was able to focus on writing also. So for in 2 to 3 years time that I was with a Kyoto company, I was able to publish well 50 to 100 anthology songs at that, and then well my poems, those poems that I have compiled over the years, I um I I published that in the three. It was actually a trilogy, Soulful, Heartful, and Mindful series.
Mm.
Well, the heartful, that's the part that is well, bubbly. It's a happy book. The soulful, it's about love and life and contemplation. The mindful is about death. It's about thinking about things so deeply. Yeah. So I well yeah, I was able to publish that, and aside from that, songs also, and then I joined anthologies. Um, yeah, basically that's it. And my writing journey.
Wow, wow, that is amazing, actually, Rhodesia. I mean, I am when you're talking about it, I remember my poetry days because I started like at 6 years, so 3 years after you. So, and my first poem was about nature. I was actually writing about nature. This experience of writing poetry is something like a healing experience. For me, it has always been healing. Even now, also, when I do poetry workshops, it feels like I can transform people immediately into something else during that workshop, and people feel like so good when they are writing their own expressions freely and openly talking about what they can express, but have never expressed because they feel that, there is so much maybe restrictions around them, and that is what they don't feel so normal to express. Uh, like you have written so many poetries. Do you want to share one of the poetries? Do you have something near you, or just few things which you can just quickly share?
Okay, so this is one of my books. Oh yeah, there. The
Yeah.
Heartful.
Oh, wow.
Well, this is the nearest to me now.
Okay.
Well, I'll read the first poem. Is it okay? Well, basically, just to add from what you said earlier, that poetry is healing and writing is healing. Yeah, basically, yeah, very, very healing, actually, because no matter what you feel, whether it's fear or anger or grief or sadness, when you write, you transmute that into something beautiful,
True.
into something that is meaningful and something that you can share to some other people, and the other people can relate, and then it will also help in their healing, aside from you healing also. So this is my first poem here, The Jar of Joy.
Wow.
It says,
Name itself is so exciting.
it says, I will fill my jar of joy with fresh air from the mountains, with songs of waves and white sands, with the laughter of my children and every ray of sunshine. I will fill my jar of joy with triumph of each graduation march, with cloud nine of the bridal entourage, with every commendation acknowledged, and the first shrill of my newborn babe. I will fill my jar of joy with thank yous from my patients, with roses and serenades, with kisses and caresses, and lifetime beloved friends. I know one day there may be pain. I may be old, alone, and frail. I'll smile and say, bring on the rain. Whenever I open my jar of joy, I've got enough sunshine to make rainbows.
Wow.
So basically, that's what I want to share with the people here with this book, Heartful. I want people to have their own jar of joy, so that when you deposit, you can withdraw when you need it. So when you have those griefs, you remember you take for a beautiful memory from your jar of joy to accompany you in your grief.
Beautiful. That's such a
Thank
beautiful
you.
poetry, and the lines just connect so well. So with everybody, I'm sure. Everybody has a little bit of these small wins which you keep
Yes.
collecting over a period of time, and you never share with anybody else, but you just are happy about them. So I think that is what this jar of joy would be. My next question for you, Rhodesia, is like, apart from writing and like you are a physician, definitely you have been busy around that time. Now, apart from your writing, I was reading that you do painting and other things also. So what consumes you on a daily basis? Like, if you are not writing or you are not taking care of people, what is the other hobbies which Rhodesia has secretly kept for her?
Oh, okay. Well, basically every day, I take care of my children. That's number one. Of course, I pray first and meditate, and then I take care of my children with all the love that I can give them and the patience, of course. You have to have a lots of patience. And I have patients also online. Most of my hours are consumed during teleconsultations. I don't know, probably because I really love medicine so much. I like relating to people. And then I sometimes I tell myself when I grow old, I think this is the job that I want to do, even if I'm alone at home. I'm still talking to patients online, and then they tell me their ailments, and then I give them medications. Sometimes they just want somebody to talk to. They don't even have sickness. They just want somebody to talk to and understand them actually, and then feel that somebody else outside, somebody else somewhere in this world cares for them. Yeah. And then, well, apart from that, yes, sometimes I paint. Well, during these past few days, I haven't painted for a long time. But yes, sometimes I paint. Some of my paintings are in the College of Medicine that I helped build because there was a painting there of my eldest daughter when she was a baby. Well, I want to inspire. It's in a clinical setting actually, wherein a doctor is auscultating the heart of the baby, and it was a newborn. And then I put it there because I want to inspire students. I want them to see the different facets of medicine. And then I have also a painting there. It's called One Design, where I painted the brain. The neurons. One design because basically the architecture of the neurons is like the architecture of the universe. It's like stars in the galaxies. And then the DNA, the as drawn by a great architect. There's a magic hand there that's drawing the DNA. Those three, and then one charcoal drawing of my sister. Actually, I had a poem. I have a poem for her also in one of my books. My sister had a brain operation. It's really a miracle that she's still alive today. That was when she had her post-craniectomy. I drew her while I was attending to her in the in her room after her operation. So she was bald and she had all those tubes on her. But she's so beautiful in that drawing. And
Wow,
yeah, that's a gift of life, and it's the beauty of
that's a miracle.
pain, suffering, and miracles.
Yeah. No, and you know how you just connected with the neurons and the universe. I was just deeply touched by that, because when we look at stars, I have this habit. I'm a stargazer as well. So I love to watch constellations and stars at night. And many a times I feel that it is something there which is a map of what is inside us, out there.
Yes,
It looks like that, right? It's something which we have inside is actually outside us, showing us how it looks inside, and it's beautiful. when because we have also studied science, uh, we never look at science in a poetic way when we read it. We know the facts, but this is maybe where we connect poetically what is around us, and that maybe the artistic and the creative insight and eyesight you have, that you are looking at a neuron also from a universe angle. So I think that makes it very beautiful and deeply connected. So beautiful.
As above, so below.
Yes. I wanted to go back to the story also, which you have written, Diaspora. And since it was a winning submission, when we were reading it, all the juries agreed on the particular part that it was very unique. First of all, it was very unique. It was a sci-fi story. People were thinking, like, I don't want to reveal the climax of it, but there is a part where uh, the mother is actually thinking about whether she should leave Earth or not, because she's coming out of the dying Earth, and her kid, her son, is actually asking, "Yes, mom, you can do it, you can do it," but she is taking a very hard decision. I will not reveal what you did at the end, but then I think the beauty of the story, which we all appreciated as jury members, was that how something so it's a human nature to be linked to life, and here you are actually kind of taking a very different decision. So which means that there is a kind of understanding of spiritualism, detachment, and maybe, I don't know, reincarnation or rebirth, but I will leave it to you to answer. But I feel there is a lot of complexity in that particular decision. It is just not the love for the earth, but it is much more than that. It is like a belief and a lot of hope, I feel. So what is your take, and how were you, first of all, how were you inspired to write it? And what was going on when you were writing this story? And when you finished it, were you able to match what you were thinking while you were writing? And then when you finished, were you able to feel satisfied that this is the good work I have done? Was it different from when you started, or was it exactly what you were thinking about?
Okay. First of all, Dr. Seed, and to all the judges, thank you very much for your appreciation of the work. I really wasn't expecting it. I just want to contribute. And then in all my works, I just want that when someone reads it, I leave a part of my heartbeat with them. Mm. I leave some heartprints everywhere I go. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we are carrying
And
now.
so, well, what inspired it? During the time that I wrote it, the war in the Middle East was at its peak. So, and it was actually a war of uh, getting the nuclear materials, getting hold. Who's getting hold of the nuclear materials? One country would want to keep their nuclear materials. The other country would want to get it and disable or whatever. No. So the story that was the inspiration. So I was thinking, what if this escalates and then there's nuclear wars, what will happen to human beings? And then the story is human beings have become so advanced that they are able already to inhabit other planets and also to travel in space and to adapt whatever dangers there are in space. So the protagonist there is number one, the old lady who has witnessed Earth from that for a century or so, the wars, the world wars and all, and her kid who is a genius from childhood, who has become an aerospace engineer and an astrophysicist, and who married his wife is, on the other hand, a geneticist, someone who can actually, at that time, a hypothetical time, they can already correct any mistake in the genes, or any defect in the genes, so as to prolong life. And yeah, so well, the point there, there are so many actually issues in that story. The one that you pointed out in the last is the choice, and she chose to be a part of the universe. Well, for most of us, we see in this dimension, but there are so many dimensions. We see the material dimension, but we do not know after somebody dies, what happens to the consciousness, what happens to the spirit, what happens to the matter. In her case, she wants her matter, the carbon that created her, to be a seed of the stars. That became her choice, although they have the ability to prolong life, and to bring her to another world where the human greed and uh, the human those trials, those conflicts hopefully won't exist. But that's another issue. So many, it's titled diaspora. So it's just not the one family going out of Earth. We had the technology at that time. So it's so many people going out of Earth, seeding the universe. What do they bring? What will we bring in the universe? What will we plant in what planet we will go to? So basically, those are the issues in the story.
Wow.
Well,
And
if it's exactly what I wanted to write, yes, very much so. Sometimes, one time, I mean, two, three times after I wrote that, and then I reread it. Sometimes I cried. I cried. I relate very well to their emotional conflicts, to to their dilemmas, and to their decisions, to
mm,
their losses and gains. You know, in the universe, there's there's that law. No energy, no nothing is created nor destroyed. We die, what do we become? Probably something we don't even know at this dimension. But if we can see, probably we become something else. But probably it's just a continuity for all we know. And so, yeah.
beautiful,
So
beautiful.
I hope we can contemplate that on holding on to things, to material things, to things that we own, to things that we see,
Mm,
when there's so much beyond.
to to agree. And one of the things which I'm relating to while you are telling is uh, wars are not going to help us. It is the love and what we are holding to mindfully is going to make a difference. So I think that decision the old lady is making is more a mindful decision than just going away and living in another planet. Does it um does it help us? Maybe just holding another materialistic asset. It is just like that. But then when you move from one planet to another, even that planet will be suffering again with whatever
Yeah.
we take as materialistic attachments with us. I think that is beautifully I think explored. That concept has been explored so well by you in the story. So that I think is something which we were enthralled and excited to read. And once again, congratulations for writing something like this, and for the becoming a Creative Excellence Award winner. I want you to share with us what is the message which you want to keep for your writers? Any new writer in your country, I mean, all over the world, right? Uh, any specific message which you want to spread? Like, if everybody, every writer has to know this, then what will that message be? Do share with us.
Okay. So speak your truth unapologetically. Okay. I'm sorry for that. Well, all writers, all of us, we are like channels. We are instruments of what something greater than us or the universe would want to be shared to the world. And so if you are chosen to be that channel, then don't be scared. Write. Don't edit yet. Just write. Sometimes I just put my fingers on the laptop and let my fingers do the writing. But when I feel that inspiration, that inspiration will not last. Don't let it fly away. It's like the rainbow. It's there, it's beautiful, but sooner it will be gone. The feeling, whatever feeling that is, fury, anger, love, um, all of this, even love, sometimes it goes away. Write it, capture it. It's like writing is like it's like taking a picture of your emotions or painting your emotions on paper. So make sure you have painted your emotion well so that when other people see it or you yourself when you see it some other time, you can see that, oh, this was me and this was, and then I have learned, and then I have shared this, and some other people, they benefit from what I have written.
Wow. Wow, that is so, so beautifully said. And uh, that was my final question. But I want to ask one more question because I know that you are not on social media. So, how have you kept yourself protected from social media in an era where, social media is buzz? That's my last question for you, and I would love to know how you are doing this.
Oh, we're not allowed because my husband is a minister and we're not allowed to have any social media handles. I
Okay.
write because this is just a pastime, something I love to do. And as I've said, we are channels.
Hmm.
We have to write. We have to. Um, we are instruments. So if I don't do that, and all of us, we're just going through this world in so short a time. So
Hmm.
whatever it is, whatever beautiful things or things that can benefit others that we can do, might as well share it. Well, I share it in the most possible way that I can, and in only the way that is allowed. Social media is not allowed to us, but basically it gave me a sense of peace and tranquility, and I am not really um, updated on the on the on the fads, and I tend to turn inward
Hmm.
and open my my chakras, my soul, my channels uh, to that. Even, I mean, you can get knowledge from the social media, but the wisdom, it will be channeled to you. You don't even need all those knowledge. The wisdom, you will get it. It's just there. It's just there. You remember it. It will be poured into you. And what is poured into you, you also pour into others. You share.
Wow, beautiful. Beautifully said. Explained as well. Thank you so much, Rhodesia. We are coming
Mhm.
to the end of this podcast, and it was lovely to know you, to understand your work, and how you have um, explored the writing journey, your writing journey into healing. And it's not only healing yourself, but everybody who touching these lines, I was reading these lines, is actually inspired, healed by what you are trying to message out. And I feel really blessed knowing you, and reading your work, knowing more about your work. And I'm really excited now to read your poetries, because your healing poetries are like the trilogy you talked about. They are such a amazing one. We just heard one of them from the hundreds which you have written, and I would love to read more. So thank you so much, Rhodesia. It was a pleasure uh, having you for the BWB Golden Quill Award podcast. And being a creative award winner, we would love you to also share this message with others, that when because we have opened our nominations for the next year now. The Golden Quill Awards will be starting from September, and new people can be actually nominated, can put their submissions in the forms now. So that has opened, and thank you so much for being with us. It was a lovely discussion. Take care. God bless you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Also, the pleasure is mine. Master.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.